Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are going to get started here in just a moment. We'll give you a few seconds to log in here. We're going to have quite a bit of information in a short period of time, so we hope you will join us. This is being recorded, and so we will get started here in just a moment, and we are looking forward to presenting quite a bit of information here rather quickly this evening. All right, everybody. So I'm going to ask you to mute yourselves on the way in, and I am going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here. So we are live here. I'm at my home office this evening, and we have got, again, a lot to cover. What are we doing this evening? Well, we are going to start off with a little bit of a slideshow here, kind of just some overviews of the market, what is going on in the market right now. We are talking this evening about what I'm calling mining for gold. And that is buyer and seller opportunities in this, what I'm calling a balanced stagnant market. And what a balanced stagnant market is, that means when there's not a lot of activity going on in a market, there's not a lot of people moving, prices aren't going dramatically up or down, and inventory is currently at record lows. But there are opportunities for you as a buyer or a seller in this market. And I wanted to review how we're going to find those and what exactly are the market conditions. So to start off, current market realities. Well, where are we at? If you had asked me last spring about the market, I would have had a vastly different answer than right now. But here's what happened since then. Higher interest rates, as we all, I believe, know, have more people staying in their current properties. A lot of people are sitting out this market. But there are people actually still in this market. And so what we know is the remaining buyers, they are committed to buying, which creates some opportunities for sellers. We're going to discuss here in a little bit. Prices are not going down. That is something we know. We last fall kind of questioned that. There were some opportunities last fall to get in a situation where there wasn't a multiple bid, where people were sitting and waiting for buyers to come to their property and market times were up. And that was last fall. And so if you sat out the market last fall hoping prices would go down, hope did not float, and you ended up missing out on some opportunities. We believe the same is in the market right now, that if you sit this market out right now waiting for something to change, it probably is not going to. Prices are not going down. The inventory is not going up. And the economy overall remains sound. Now, none of us have a crystal ball. I'm sitting in my house right now that I bought in 2012 as a foreclosure. And a lot of people said, well, the market's not getting any better. Why would you buy right now? And it ended up being one of the best financial decisions I've ever made. I've not always made great decisions, but that was a great decision. So we know this isn't 2008. And what 2008 brought to the market was banks stopped lending. People were losing their jobs left and right. And all of a sudden, short sales and foreclosures, particularly foreclosures, started to come into play. That is not the situation right now in 2023. The reality right now is banks are lending. We know that buyers are still buying. People still, for the most part, have jobs. And so what we're seeing right now is buying real estate and wait is still the smarter strategy than trying to time the market and waiting to buy real estate. I've heard this thing, date the rate, marry the property. I don't want to even go there tonight. I think that's way overused. But here's what I'm saying that I've been saying for many years. The interest rate on renting is 100%. So if you are watching this tonight or seeing this video later, the interest rate on renting is 100%. And if you're an investor, the return on investment of not buying real estate is 0%. What is your opportunity cost of not buying real estate? It's going to be substantial. So we want to encourage people to use some of the strategies we're discussing this evening in order to start winning in this market. You will lose by sitting this market out, period. So what do we want to do tonight? We want to talk a little bit about Realtors Property Resource. There are some market reports I'm going to show you. We want to kind of give you a more visual element of what's out there and what is not out there, how to win in this market in terms of finding inventory that may not be on the open market. If you're sitting on the portals, we've got to get you on our app. And if you're a seller, what specific strategies are out there to help you win? And if you're a buyer, how can you put some of those strategies in your favor? So we've all got some opportunities, but we want to use these specific strategies and tools that we're going to present to you this evening. So let's get right into it. Specific strategies for you. As a seller, you've got some options, and I've got some guests on this evening that I'm going to bring on at one point or another. As a seller, we're hearing a lot of people say, well, I've got a great interest rate. I'm going to maybe want to sell this property, maybe not, but my money is tied up in my current property. My money is tied up in my current property. I can't buy a new property without the money out of this property. How do I get that money out? Well, obviously, one of those ways to do that is to sell the property, right? What if that's not your best option? What if, like some of my clients right now, they want to keep that great interest rate and they want to rent that property out? Exit Strategy Realty has a rental portal that allows our agents to help you rent a property out, really do some great things with that particular property. You may be able to cash flow on that property because of that great low interest rate. And it may be the best thing out there for you to hold on to that property and let property values continue to appreciate, and you've locked in that great rate. But how do you get the equity out of that property in order to buy another one? Well, I have a guest on tonight, my friend Greg. He has been with our office before to speak to us. Greg, are you on right now? And would you like to talk to us a couple minutes about the HELOC type products you have for the specific situation?
Definitely. Hi, everyone. My name is Greg again, and currently I'm with PNC Bank, and I have been in the industry for over 18 years. So I've seen it all at multiple different institutions, and I also was a mortgage underwriter for a while. So I have a depth of knowledge when it comes to the industry at large. But more specifically, what I'm on about for tonight is our home loan products or our home equity line of credit products here at PNC Bank. We are one of the few banks left in the market that are out there doing home equities. And our product is based on getting the equity out of your home. And we go all the way up to 80 to 85% loan to value. And that is based on your primary residency or second home, as long as it's not a cash flow property. So it needs to be truly a second home that you rent out less than 365 days a year. So basically you can be a snowbird and get some equity out of an investment property or a second home property, I should say. So we do home equity lines of credits in first position and second position. Most people are doing it in a second position, and those rates are variable as well because you do not want to lock it in right now. Prime is currently at 8.25. So we do have margins that go anywhere from 0.25 all the way up to 1.35 above prime, depending on the LTV as well as the amount you're taking out. It's a very quick process. The turnaround time is about 22 days right now. And there's no application fee, no closing fees. We pay for that all up front for you. We look for about a 680 or better credit score, I would say. That's just the ballpark. It doesn't mean you can't be lower and get approved. And the only fee is a annual fee of $50. And then if you ever want to lock it in, because rates are dropping, then you think it's a great time to lock it in, you can lock it in at any time at whatever rate you want or whatever rate is going on at the time for a $100 fee. That is the gist, but I can definitely take questions on the products or anything else we might be able to provide for you.
Does anyone have any questions for Greg? Greg, I know that is a quick overview, but that is something that is a great strategy if you are looking to pull equity out of an existing home. Does anyone have any questions for Greg? And Greg, what is the best way to contact you?
Definitely. You can email me at gregory.rigney@pnc.com, or send me a text or call me. And my cell phone is 312-320-7481. Again, that's 312-320-7481. Feel free to send a text if that's easier, or give me a call. It's up to you. I answer in all forms.
Perfect. Greg, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm going to have his contact information for everyone at the end of this slideshow. We do have some action items we have for you all this evening. So that is step one with our sellers, is that home equity line of credit type option. If you are going to need to pull money out of a property and you want to keep that property for one reason or another. So another strategy for you to discuss or consider with your Exit Strategy Realty agent is, if you are concerned about being homeless, if you are going to sell your property or even rent it out and you're like, well, I don't know where I'm going to go, here are some options for you. We're going to try to think outside the box a little bit this evening. You can, in this tight inventory market, you can request of buyers to do what's called a lease back. And that is, if there's multiple bids on your property, we're going to talk about multiple bids in step 3 of this. There's multiple property. One of the things you can negotiate is the closing date or possession terms and say, hey, I'd like to rent my property back for a month, 2 months, 3 months, something like that. So I have time to figure out where I want to go. And that's important when the inventory that you see today is probably not what's going to be on the market next week. That is the reality. It's probably not going to be what's on the market next week because things are so tight. But if you can get a great price for your existing property, if you are indeed going to sell it and you want to do a lease back, this is the type of market you can negotiate something like that. Obviously, we did discuss already renting out your unit. Rents are at record highs. I just did a lease for a friend of mine that's moving here from New York, him and his partner. We ended up having to go over asking price on a rental. It's that tight because some of our renters are staying where they're at because they feel like they can't afford to buy. We're going to talk about affordability in a moment as well. So a lease back, renting out your unit, and then sell now, buy later. What about what we were doing during the pandemic? What we were doing for some people is I said, hey, get out, make your money on this property. If you want to sit it out a little bit, sell now, rent for a bit, whether that's a year, 6 months, rent now, buy later. So that's another option as well. But my only concern with that is interest rates. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't believe they're going to go immediately down, and prices we believe will continue to go up. National Association of Realtors just released a statistic today. They were saying prices were going to be flat this year. They're now predicting by the end of the year they could go up 3 to 4% in most major areas. So that is the type of thing you could be dealing with if you want to, again, buy later, wait to buy. I would recommend you go ahead and we figure out something more like a lease back as an option while you continue to do your search as a buyer if you need a replacement property. So let's talk about photos and floor plans and 3D tours and things like that. Just because right now the market is so tight does not mean that you have an excuse to slack off. I'm talking to my agent friends on here as well. Slack off on the marketing. We actually have our amazing in-house photographer, Laura Bell, with us on this Zoom this evening. I wanted to show you some of the things that you absolutely, I believe, have to have and why we are now paying for these for our agents to have. I believe that you have to have a good number of photos. These photos actually were not taken by Laura. These were before we had Laura as our in-house photographer that I'm paying for the photos on all our for sale listings. But we did do 3D tours. Even I was already doing them before a lot of other people were. 3D tours, floor plan, and a lot of photos, at least 24 photos. We know that that has to happen because of the algorithms on all the major portals. We're going to talk a little bit more about the portals in a second. But one of the things that I believe that you need to do is you have to have a great baseline of photos. That's what I'm providing. through Exit Strategy Realty for all of our agents. But then if you're a seller and you are maybe not in prime condition to sell, and we're going to be talking next month in June about some of our senior friends, some people that they've been in their house for 20 or 30 years. Maybe they're not in the physical condition or the financial condition to do certain things with their property to make it most saleable. Well, guess what? There is help for that. If we can have our in-house photographer do wonderful photos and then go back. Now, this is something that obviously would be an additional piece on top of what I provide for our agents, but we have technology now that allows you to do amazing virtual staging. So this was a property I sold for a friend of mine that was relocating. This was the raw photo. And then here is the virtually staged photo. So if you have a property that maybe needs some work, we even can now go in using our technology and not only virtually stage, because stage furniture is thousands of dollars a month. It's extremely expensive to stage a home. And that cost, really takes a beating to people's financials. We can do virtual staging basically at the touch of a button, and we can even touch things up. Like if there's nicks and scuffs on the wall or the floors, it can't be too different. And you do need to disclose that some of the properties have been virtually staged or that they've been virtually altered to show what a property could be. I have changed wall colors. I have redone floors and kitchens. You could say this is what a property will be like with a renovation loan. We're going to talk about renovation loans in a moment as well. But if you are a seller and you are, in a position that we need to help you get things out of the house, etc., we have services that can help you remove things from the home. But even more importantly, if we're given a blank palette, we can jazz that palette up so that, again, there's virtual staging there. There's going to be some more virtual staging you'll see in a moment. It really helps the home. So Exit Strategy is one of the very few brokerages in Chicagoland that are offering photos paid for our agents, floor plans, 3D tours as a seller. Just because this market is great doesn't mean you want to slack. You need a great agent that's going to help you with that. What if, by the way, you are a seller that has some significant work to be done? Maybe it's not something that can be an easy staging situation with some photos and some wizardry from Laura and our technology team. What if it's a little bit more substantial and you don't have the money or don't want to put the money into the home? Well, we have a solution for you there as well. It's called Curbio, and we have an affiliate relationship with Curbio. We have worked with them on several projects. And what Curbio does with us as the concierge, we can have your property renovated, little projects, big projects. We're talking kitchens, baths, something as small as refinishing floors or changing out appliances, and it's pay at closing. In other words, you don't have any money out of your pocket till it closes. So it's an amazing relationship. If you don't already have a relationship with a contractor or if you've never heard of something like that, and by the way, most contractors are going to want their money up front, right? You can choose to kick the can down the curb a little bit till the closing and get that property in perfect palette for the ready, willing, and able buyer. Because what we want to do is we want to make sure we have amazing technology. We have geolocational smart signs. We have text message codes that track each lead that come in. Exit has amazing technology, but your property is the blank palette. Can we get that into a form that's going to get you more offers and more eyes on that listing? That's what we're here to help you with. And I'll show you a little bit more towards the end of this presentation on how to get that initial estimate from them. But do not slack off on the condition of the home. We are here to help with that. We have technology for that. And I'm investing my time and money. Project X is our technology tool stack that we want to make sure that we get as many people through that home as possible so that we get you the highest price in the lowest amount of time and the best possible terms that are actually going to get to closing. We're going to discuss that in section 3. So let's talk though for buyers. Our buyers, I just want to give most of our buyers right now a hug in this market. We understand that it's a tough market. We have absolutely got to make sure that every single one of our buyers is on Zenlist. Zenlist is a app that is changing the game in Chicagoland real estate. Chicagoland is one of some local multiple listing services that have what they call the PLN, or private listing network. I personally do not like the private listing network. I believe that everyone, if you're going to put your property on the market, everybody should be able to see it, right? It's not the way we're playing here in Chicagoland. I'm on the local board of realtors, board of directors. I did not get anywhere trying to get the private listing network taken away. It is here to stay. So what does that mean for you as a buyer? As a buyer, if a agent, and right now I'm going to show you in a live example in my own neighborhood, we are finding up to 10% of the inventory on the market is not appearing on the full market. It's not on the public MLS. It's not on Realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin, anything like that. It's almost like what we would call shadow inventory, but it is on the open market if you know about it. How do you find it? We have this proprietary tool called Zenlist. So this is the Zenlist app. Right now in Chicagoland, there are 14,655 listings. Of those, almost 9%, 1,225 of them are on the private listing network. That means if you have a traditional agent without our tools, you're not getting these listings because a traditional MLS search does not send these to you. You are also not getting them on the major portals, which means you're missing out on some of the inventory that you can actually get into and make offers on, and many less people are seeing it, which means you could potentially get a better deal than anybody else. So let me give you, for example, my neighborhood, Lakeview. Right now, 235 listings, 20 of them are private. 20 of them are private. So that is a huge difference between open market and private listing network. Every single one of our EXIT Strategy Realty agents has access to the Zenlist app, which means you have access to the Zenlist app. We buy the package so that we have unlimited access for our agents and consumers. You need to get on that app immediately. We are one of the few brokerages in Chicagoland that pays for it. You will have access to more inventory than anywhere else. And by the way, as a seller, you want to have access to this app as well. It's obviously free because you want to see what's out there on the open market, on the private listing network. It's also for rentals, so you can start to see what's going on in the rental market. Talk to your EXIT Strategy Realty agent. You need to get on that app right away. But buyers, what else? What about looking at some of these properties that need a little work? What if we went into a property, just like as a seller, there's this program that we have through our Curbio Concierge, that the seller can have that work done prior to putting it on the market at no cost to them. What if I told you, if you've never heard of a rehab loan, that you can have a loan that covers not only the unit itself, but the work that you want to do to that unit? If everybody else is running towards the brand new, the freshest of inventory that's out there, what if you were the buyer that went into the ugly duckling, so to speak, that nobody else wanted, got a better deal, you got to work, you got to do the work that you wanted to do on the property, and all of those renovations were covered as part of your mortgage. In other words, the renovation costs are built into your mortgage and it's paid out over that 30-year loan or whatever the loan terms are. That is huge, everyone. That is huge. You can have instant equity, unlike being in a multiple bid situation, instant equity. And this is available on FHA loans, conventional loans. An FHA rehab loan, you can get into the property for 3.5% down. You can have the seller pay up to 6% of closing costs. You can get potentially in some situations grant money. We have lenders that can do this for you. And this is a huge opportunity in this market to go into a property that needs some work. and beat out everybody else looking. So if you don't have Zenlist, we need to get you on Zenlist. If you are not working with a lender that's brought up rehab loans to you, we need to get you a different lender. We're going to talk about lenders in a moment. So a rehab loan is huge because when everybody else is running towards the cute stuff, go to the ugly duckling and negotiate a great deal and then get instant equity. We're not finding instant equity when you're in a multiple bid situation. Another strategic move for everybody is these interest rates. We know they're not great. They've been, by the way, much higher at times during my 25 years in the business and nearly 700 transactions. But we know that the interest rate on renting is 100%, as we've said. We also know that if you wait to buy, you've lost out on opportunities. What can you do to fight these interest rates? A mortgage interest rate buy down is a huge tool for you. We don't hear enough lenders doing it. We don't hear enough lenders talking about it. We don't hear enough sellers offering it. Did you know that a seller can offer to buy down your interest rate? A temporary buy down, a buy down, except that's more expensive. So we have now partnered. I have actually acquired part of a mortgage company called Starlight Mortgage, specifically so we could control this ability to offer this for every single one of our listings. So every single EXIT Strategy Realty listing has the opportunity for you to get a 1% 1-year interest rate buy down at no cost or concession to the seller, the buyer, or the realtors. It's covered by Starlight. It's a huge, huge opportunity for you to get a little temporary reprieve in the interest rate, a full 1% reprieve on any of our listings. And by the way, Starlight will also do that for you as a buyer if you're coming into a buyer for them, even if it's not one of our listings. If you're coming in through our EXIT Strategy Realty agents, that is why I wanted to do this partnership with Starlight. So huge opportunities for you. We're going to talk in a moment about how to contact Shaheen at Starlight and get a 1% 1-year interest rate buy down, regardless of your mortgage type. If the property is a great property, you can always refinance the property later, right? You can always refinance the property later. So interest rates, you think they're going to go down, you want to play the market a little bit, great, good for you. But get in the property now. I knew I'd end up saying it. Marry the property, date the rate. I'm so tired of hearing that. Is anybody else tired of hearing that? Probably. But rates. I have another thing to show you. Multi-unit buildings, unlike single-family homes, multi-unit buildings, there's a glut of them on the market right now. So what did we say to you? We wanted to show you this evening a couple different things that would maybe enlighten you on the market. So one of those things I wanted to show you is we're looking at the outlook on the market. And by the way, I think somebody's unmuted. I'm going to go ahead and try to figure out who that is and mute them. Thank you so much. All right. So here is the reality in this market. I'm going to use my neighborhood again as an example, 60657. So I went a little more hyper local within my zip code, not just the neighborhood, but my zip code alone. You can see right now how many properties are distressed. 1. Guys, don't wait for the short sales and foreclosures. They're probably not happening. Don't wait for the short sales and foreclosures. They are probably, given the current market conditions, this is not 2008 or 9 or 10. They're not happening. We're not seeing them. And we know that in Cook County, Chicagoland in general, 18 plus months for something to go from sale into foreclosure. So guys, it's not, you don't want to wait. What do you want to do? You want to look for the price changes. So here's the reality. The price changes are almost all, and I don't want to make a full assumption, but the price changes are almost all on the multi-unit buildings. We call that house hacking, by the way. So if you're thinking of buying a condo or you're thinking of buying a single family home, may I invite you to the possibility of buying a multi-unit building instead? And by the way, in the time that we were here, it went up to 240 listings, 25 of them private. So over 10% of Lakeview now is in the private listing network only, showing you the power of Zenlist. Let's go into specifically multi-unit buildings. And I want to show you some of these price reductions because this is going to be significant. So if I go in here and I go into property type, which by the way, Zenlist, the beauty of Zenlist is you don't have to wait for your agent to set up a search. You can be all over any what neighborhood you want, any price point you want, any property type you want, residential, commercial, investment, etc. But look at this, 2 to 4 units. You're seeing property prices drop on these 2 to 4 units. Why is that? Well, right now, what we're seeing is there are a lot of landlords leaving the market. They are, in a lot of cases, they've owned the property for 10 plus years, sometimes 20 plus years. We are seeing at the same time, they want to do 1031 exchanges. They want to get out of that property. They have a significant amount of equity into it, and they're investing somewhere else. Let them. They are eager to make a deal. And what we know is multi-unit buildings. If I told you that you could get this $689,000 property, look at this, was $699 down to $689. I'm going to find you another one that just had a price drop because I'm seeing them in the market right now all over. The price drops are significant in some cases. So this property right here, if you want to buy this property and you said, well, Nick, I can only afford a $350,000 condo. Did you know that you can do a 3.5% down FHA loan on a multi-unit building, just like you can do it on a condo or on a single family home, and the rental income on the other unit. So imagine you live in the first floor here with the lights on, and you let somebody else live in the upstairs, or vice versa. The rental income from the other unit or other units, plural, allows you to comp that rental income towards your overall income, and you can afford a much higher price point, which means at the end of the day, when you pay off that mortgage, you go to sell this property later, what's your return on investment? Massive, because you put 3.5% down, and eventually you're going to own that building outright, free and clear. You didn't just buy a $400,000 property, you bought a $700,000 property. And by the way, again, price drops everywhere on multi-unit buildings right now. It's the only portion of the market that we are seeing significant price drops and a lack of competition. So think for a second about this. So if we go into just price changes, and we go into Lakeview, Uptown, I'm going to do a couple different neighborhoods here. Lincoln Park. I can spell it right. Now we're up to 3 price drops, and this is just today's status. There are 3 price drops today, and we're not seeing any sort of price drops in the open market on single family homes or on condos in any significance. So we're seeing substantial opportunity in the multi-unit market. So consider, my friends, not only getting a rehab loan potentially, consider mortgage interest rate buy down. Again, we've got a lender right on site ready to do that for you. And multi-unit buildings, house hacking, or even just as an investment property, more inventory, and the prices are actually going down on those. So that is the only parts of the market we're seeing that. So for buyers, there's opportunity there. Now let's talk for everybody. For everybody, I want to go back into the slideshow here for a moment. For everyone, what if you do get into a multiple bid strategy? Well, multiple bid situation. If you do, here's what I want you to consider, both as a buyer or a seller. look for, as a seller, as is subject to inspection. We do not want people as a buyer buying without an inspection. I can't imagine a situation, unless you're going to tear the property down, that you don't want an inspection. Even if you're going to do a rehab loan, don't you want to know what you're getting into? Yes, you do. But as is subject to inspection, we have a relationship with America's Preferred Home Warranty. If you're a seller, there's a great seller's policy. If you're a buyer, ask the seller to pay for it or you pay for it. Either way, as is subject to inspection means you can have an inspection. You can either kill the deal and walk away and get your earnest money back, or you move forward. But you've had an inspection, and a home warranty can cover a lot of issues, minus the deductible, but a lot of issues that could be out there, and allows you to be a much more solid buyer as a buyer. And as a seller, look for that. Because what we don't want you to get into as a seller is a situation where boy, this price looks great, but this deal's not going to stick. They ran to get you under contract, but they don't have the best of intents to stay under contract. And as a buyer, keep the protections of an inspection, but get a home warranty and do as is subject to inspection, so that that seller knows that you're not going to nickel and dime them on an inspection. That's what they're looking for if they have a well-trained agent. Another controversial piece that I really struggle with myself is an appraisal gap waiver. I've actually created a form that I would recommend if you're going to do any sort of appraisal gap. And what an appraisal gap means, if you're a buyer and you are offering whatever price you're offering and the property does not appraise out, that you have the option to cover the difference or the difference up to a certain amount and still close on the property. I don't love this form, even though I created the form for exit. I don't love that idea for buyers. Makes me a little nervous to feel like it's throwing money out. But we also, as a buyer, in some situations, want to get that property. And as a seller, if you have a multiple bid situation, or someone's offering you over asking price, and your Exit Strategy Realty agent did market analysis with you, and you're looking at the market analysis going, well, my property, you told me it was worth $350, and here's all these properties around it. You got the Zenlist app. Hopefully you can see for yourself what's going on. If everything around it sold recently for $350 and this buyer's offering you $400,000, do you think that's going to appraise out? And we know that 87% of buyers have a mortgage, so the odds of cash are not that great, which means you as a seller want to have some sort of appraisal gap waiver or coverage. And as a buyer, is that a potential for you? It may not be. I have a friend that's doing FHA financing. They don't have the money to cover the difference, and that's okay. So we're going to find them something else. I'm actually recommending that buyer we get into a rehab loan type situation and find an ugly duckling that doesn't have these crazy multiple bids. But I want everybody to be aware of that as a buyer and a seller. What else? Can you put more earnest money down? Earnest money is fully refundable unless you basically disappear on the deal. If the financing doesn't work out, if the inspection or attorney review doesn't work out, you get your earnest money back. So if you've got the money to put down on the property, in other words, your loan to value, if you're putting 5% down, put a little bit more earnest money down on the deal, because that's going to make that seller feel like you've got skin in the game. We are not winning every multiple bid situation by any means. I want you to understand the different pieces in your arsenal. Another thing, personal lender contact. You know, I've got friends that work for online lenders, but man, you got to have a good lender that will reach out to the seller's agent and make contact and really create an impression. Because if there is a cash offer going against you, it's one of those 13% on average that are cash offers, and you have financing, or if you have financing and somebody else has a really good lender, we need your lender to be great and to have personal contact with that seller's agent and offer a personalized pre-approval. So that's what I expect. Closing date and possession concessions. I'm going to go back over to the left-hand side. Remember, we said if you're a seller, I always try to put my shoe on the other foot to understand the other side. It's a basic skill of negotiating, I believe. Closing date. Ask the agent have your agent ask their agent, and if you're an exit strategy agent, you've been taught this by me, ask the agent what's important to their seller. If you're in a multiple bid situation, what's important to the seller besides price? Is it closing date? Do they want a lease back? Do they need to close quickly? Do they want to close later? Do they want a chandelier that should have been kept there? What do they want? What can we do? What's reasonable for us to do? Closing date, possession, concessions. Everybody should be considering that when you're looking at offers. Does anyone have any questions on anything that I've gone over so far? All right. Let's jump to action items. I try to keep these sessions somewhat reasonable. Here's our action items for everybody. Whether you are on this live or you see this later. Number one, I want you to get on Zenlist. You can only do it through an agent that has Zenlist. Every single Exit Strategy Realty agent has it. You will love it. You will love it. You will want to keep it forever. It is free forever. We are going to pay for it for all of our agents to have for all of you. Get on Zenlist as a buyer, seller, renter. I don't care. Get on it. You're going to want it to just do research. Everybody loves to look at things. The great thing is you can request tours. You can look at what's open houses. You can do exactly what I did right now and go and say, okay, I just want to know price changes. I just want to know price changes. I just want to look at open houses. I can tell you, my clients have literally said, Nick, why did you do this years ago? The technology didn't exist years ago. That's my job as the coach, the founder of this company, to find out what you need and fulfill that need as best I can. So that's step one. Contact your Exit Strategy Realty agent and get on Zenlist. Step two, lender contact. So we have a link for you, an easy link. If you just want to text financing, the word financing, to this number, 85377. If you text financing to 85377, our lender, Starlight Mortgage, will be able to get you pre-approved and get you that 1% 1 year interest rate buy down on your loan product with no concessions from the seller, you as the buyer, or the agents. Really, really good deal. So text financing to 85377 if you don't already have a great lender connection. Do you need renovations? If you're a seller, if you're a buyer, it's going to be a rehab loan like we discussed. If you're a seller and you need to start looking at maybe some renovations and you don't have the money to do it and you need some help, go to this link, case sensitive, item 3, bit.ly, case sensitive, /renovate with exit. So renovate is capitalized, with is capitalized, and then exit is in all caps. bit.ly /renovate with exit. And you can fill out the form. If you're an agent, that link goes for you as well. So that is a great new product that we have. Number 4, review budget, rentals, sales. What do you need? What do you need in terms of research? Your Exit Strategy Realty agent is trained to use Cloud CMA, Realtors Property Resource. Those two combined give you truly everything you need to know about the market. And then you have Zenlist so you can continue to follow the market. It's hand in hand. You're going to really get an idea on what's going on, and you can always get that updated. Last but not least, do you need to pull out equity on that existing property? Greg with PNC, here's his email address, gregory.rigney@pnc.com. gregory.rigney@pnc.com. Really innovative loan product that very few lenders and banks are offering at this point. We searched out and found one of the few that are left doing it. If you need to get that equity out of that property but don't want to sell it, great strategy for you. And remember, we have the ability to not only do sales but leasing. We can help you out, get a great tenant, do all the screening and the lease apps and all that good stuff. Does anyone have any questions for me before we let you go back into your evening?
Nick, I have a question.
Yes.
For the equity with Greg, are you able to pull equity on a 2 flat? because most of the banks for some reason won't allow you, unless it's a single family home, or most banks. Do you know if he's able to do it on a 2 to 4 unit or no?
For a 2 to 3 unit, we can do that. 4 units questionable, but definitely a 2 and 3 unit, and as long as you live in one of the units. Otherwise, it's a rental property.
Got it. So 4 units will be considered commercial?
For most banks, for PNC, yes. I mean, it can still be done, but it goes commercial.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Great. Thank you for staying on. I didn't realize you stayed on with us. That's awesome. Much appreciated. So Greg is a great, and he can run through specific situations with you. So there's his email address again there, right there on the slide. Great question, by the way. Who else? What other questions do we have for any of us that are on? Going once. Going twice. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure to be with you this evening. This has been recorded. It will be on my YouTube channel. And if you want to just get an overview again of why EXIT Strategy is leading in this market, you can text the word difference to 85377. Again, that's difference to 85377. We are honored to be with you, and we will see you next month for the continuation of our consumer education series. Have a great night.